This is the Almost Timely newsletter for the week of September 15th, 2024. Content authenticity statement: 100% of this week's newsletter was generated by me, the human. There's a link at the top of the newsletter to learn why this kind of disclosure is a good idea and might be, required for anyone doing business within any capacity with the EU in the near future. What's on my mind this week? Next generation AI models. I'm just back from Cleveland, Ohio, from the Marketing AI Conference, MACON. And at the start and the end of the conference, Paul Reitzer and his team asked these 10 questions. How will the next generation of AI models affect you, your team, and your company? How will generative AI model advancements impact creative work and creativity? How will consumer information consumption and buying behaviors change? How will consumer changes impact search, advertising, publishing, etc.? How will AI-related copyright and IP issues affect marketers? How will AI impact marketing strategies and budgets? How will AI impact marketing technology stacks? How will marketing jobs change? How will AI impact agencies? And how will AI impact brands? Each of these questions is practically a book unto itself. So over the next few pieces of content, we're going to tackle some of these. Every person will and should have their own answers to these questions. Your answers should vary from mine based on how you use AI. So let's dig. I want to start using delve unironically into that first big question. But before we do, at the top of the newsletter is a link to a recording. It's a rehearsal recording of my MACON talks. If you would like to see more or less what I talked about at MACON, you can download a copy. A link is at the top of the newsletter. Let's dig into that first big question. Let's delve into it. How will the next generation of AI models affect you, your team, and your company? Part one: what is a next generation AI model? The first big part of the question we have to tackle is what constitutes a next generation model? What exactly does this mean? Today's generative AI models fall under two fundamental architectures: transformers and diffusers. Transformers predict the next token in a sequence based on all the previous tokens, predict the next word, the next phrase, and so on and so forth. Diffusers essentially compare noise to images they've already seen and chip away at the noise until they arrive at a blend of whatever the prompt is. If you say a dog on a skateboard, it knows what a dog is based on what it's been trained on. It knows what a skateboard is. So it chips away at noise until it thinks it's got a good mix of a dog on a skateboard. This past week, OpenAI released Model O1, and there was, of course, the usual furor online about it. And after the release of O1, many people are talking about the next generation of models as reasoning models, which is what O1 is. It's a reasoning model in alignment with the march towards artificial general intelligence, which is the ability for AI to be smarter than people at any given task. That is certainly one dimension of next generation models, but it's not the only one. What is reasoning? Why do we care? Today's models, when naively prompted, or I guess badly prompted, they don't do anything more than they're told to do, right? Give a simple prompt, they give a simple answer. New models like O1 have a certain type of reasoning known as chain of thought, aka think things through step by step, built in along with a reward function, as a way to get generally better results out of AI for prompts that require thinking, that require reasoning. It's important to say that this helps users who are less good at prompting for reasoning tasks, right? It helps them get better results. If you've already got very sophisticated prompts that involve semi-autonomous reasoning, O1 is not going to be a huge leap ahead. If you are writing, one sentence prompts, then yeah, O1 is going to make a big difference for reasoning tasks. An interesting side effect of reasoning, pointed out by my friend Ruby King, who was at MACON with me, is that reasoning is only applicable to some tasks. Others have noted, for example, that O1 is producing better reasoning but less creative writing. This makes logical sense. Reasoning is all about finding logical steps to a problem. Logic inherently involves some level of probability, right? You think things through. Creativity, like writing, in many ways involves the antithesis of probability. We talked about this not too long ago. The difference between saying someone is experiencing extreme gastric distress, which is a high probability phrase, versus, wow, it looks like you power washed your restroom with Nutella. right? That is the antithesis of probability. Those are not words you hear often together, and that's what makes that creative writing is that antithesis of probability. What makes something creative is often something low probability. Power washing your restroom with Nutella, for example. A piece of music, for example, that is made entirely of high probability notes is boring and uninteresting. A piece of music that has some surprises in it, key changes, tempo changes, things that are less common, is more interesting. I'm going to have a series from Macon coming up soon on composing music with AI and why AI is not quite there yet with music. So stay tuned for that. So reason versus creativity is one dimension of a next generation model, and foundation models may split into different types of cognitive tasks. Some models may have more creative outputs at the expense of logic, and others may have the reverse. But that's only one dimension of next generation models. Other next generation models may forward significant gaps in today's model capabilities. For example, transformers and diffusion models, they do not work well together. Right? If you ever tried to make a slide deck with generative AI, you know what a frustrating and ultimately fruitless task that is. Why? Because transformer models, predicting the next word effectively, are fundamentally different than diffusion models, which predict what pixels should be nearby based on words in the prompt. The net result is, depending on which tools you're using, you either get slide decks that are basically all words, or you get clip art slides that are trite and meaningless that have no flow to them whatsoever. On top of that, creating a slide deck, creating a presentation that is compelling is both art and science. It's both reasoning, creating a logical flow of a presentation, and creative expression, creating surprises along the way. Today's models may be multimodal, but they have exceptional difficulty crossing multiple boundaries at the same time. They can't do reasoning and creativity at the same time well. Future models, next generation models, should be able to do this more fluently, but for today, easily creating a logical and creative slide deck is out of reach for many models and tools. Next generation models will also have substantially larger working memories. Already, Google's Gemini 1.5 Pro has a working memory of up to 2 million tokens, or about 1.5 million words. That is 2 of these. They have extended that window experimentally to 10 million tokens, or about 7.5 million words. That is like 8. No, it's more than that. Yeah, it's almost 10 of these. Like 9 or 10 of these would fit in a prompt in a 10 million token context window. Once models get that large in terms of their short-term memory, they start to take on greater capabilities and draw even more connections within data. Finally, next generation models will be taking in multiple different data types. And this is really important because this is really what it means to be next generation. Right now, transformer models handle tokens, mostly text. Diffusers handle mostly images. But we are starting to see the advent of generative models that have sensory inputs, vision, audio, spatial awareness, tactile awareness from touch sensors, olfactory awareness, the ability to smell and use that data. And as more sensory data makes its way into model training, expect models to have greater capabilities that rely on sensory knowledge. For example, a transformer-based model that's purely language-based can predict and generate a menu, but it has no working knowledge of what the foods on that menu might smell like together. A model that has sensory information might know, hey, yes, you can put this food next to that food, but they might not have complementary smells. You might not smell that together and find it pleasing. So that's next generation models. Part 2. How will we use these next generation capabilities? We've got several different dimensions of next generation models, from reasoning versus creativity, true multimodal, sensory data. How are we going to use these capabilities? How are they going to affect us and our work? Every time we add new capabilities to a generative AI model, we can infer several things. First, we'll use those new capabilities at an increasing rate proportional to how we think the models will do. People leapt like crazy to use models like GPT 3.5 Turbo back in the day, even when it was clear it had substantial limitations. But when ChatGPT first came out, everyone was like, oh my goodness, we got to get using this thing. And a lot of people did. Today, we use models like GPT-4 Omni or O1 or Gemini 1.5 at a much greater capacities with much wider ranges of tasks because of those model capabilities. This in turn means that we're going to turn over more tasks to machines based on those capabilities. Right? When a model went from being able to handle a page of text to generating a book, we turned over more things to it. Suppose, for example, we have a model that has true olfactory understanding. A perfect use case for that would be a model that can detect things like spoiled food or gas leaks and go, huh, that's weird. That doesn't smell right. Anything that a person could smell, a model that has olfactory data and sensors and presumably a body could also smell. What does that change? How will we use it differently? Smell and taste, for example, are highly correlated. Today, language models are capable of processing enormous amounts of text data. It is trivial to write a book review with the language model. Could we have a model with olfactory data provide food reviews? Yes, and it will probably do a pretty decent job. The potential of splitting foundation models into reasoning versus creative has already happened in the open models world. Many people have done fine tunes of open models like Llama 3.1 to make them more creative writers with less reasoning or better coders with less improbability at the expense of the other. So more creativity, less logic, more logic, less creativity, etc. The big foundation models following suit with something like O1 is a logical thing. It was done in open models first. The big change will be overcoming boundaries between model types. There are experiments in labs right now on so-called transfusion models that blur the line between transformer and diffuser, between word and image. How well these perform compared to their pure progenitors remains to be seen, but early research suggests strong capabilities. When you have a model that can actually put together a good slide deck, that changes things. We're going to hand off more of that work to the machines. Part 3. What are the second order effects of these next generation models? Let's dig into those. For those unfamiliar, a second order effect is a consequence, often unforeseen, of a major change. For example, a second order effect of the mobile phone, right, was the offline world became part of the online world. A hybridization we see today. Go to a restaurant, scan the menu, scan a code, and it downloads the latest menu to your phone. Or order something in an app, and it arrives at your front door. This little black mirror turns into something on your doorstep. What are the second order effects of AI? Job loss is one such second order effect of generative AI. And we are seeing this already in professions like software development, which has had massive declines in hiring demand over the last 2 years. This is happening in part because AI is so empowering to developers. It increases their productivity 2x to 5x easily. What happens when you have an employee who does the work of 5 people? One thing, you don't hire 4 more people. You don't need to. You've got someone who can do the work of 5 people. They're doing it well. They're productive. They're happy. Why would you need more people? So you don't hire as much. I don't think the big fear of, oh, we're just going to fire everyone is going to happen at a large scale level. It's just unrealistic. I absolutely think that generative AI will chip away at hiring demand, at reducing open positions, at reducing the pace at which we hire. I think that will be a much more significant impact of generative AI. What this means for you and me is that we have to continue identifying what value we provide that a machine cannot. The biggest, easiest win right now is our ability to build meaningful relations with each other, right? To have real friendships, to have real relationships, to have real networks of value. There's a lot of value in that. Having a personal brand and being known for something as a human being is a differentiator. New job creation is also a second order effect. A colleague of mine who has a PhD in a relatively arcane field has been working for an AI company writing text just for AI. Their work is never made public, it's never released, never consumed by another human. Instead, it helps this company make a bespoke fine tune with data that no one else has. Right? They're going to make a better model, they think, because of this data. Things like election tampering and disinformation are second order effects. And as models become more capable, the ability to do bad things with them increases at exactly the same rate as the ability to do good things with them. As I often say in my keynotes, paraphrasing the Captain America movie, AI is an amplifier. It makes the good into better, and it makes the bad into worse. Every capability we add to AI amplifies what we can do with the tools for good or ill. And so the second order effects will be natural outgrowths of the good or the bad that we bring with us. So that's first question of many from Acon. We're going to move on, but there'll be more answers to those questions coming soon. In case you missed it this past week, go check out the talk from Macon. This is my new talk about why open models are important for things like data privacy, keeping AI available. Had a lot of fun. I also did a 25-minute recording on the YouTube channel with a fireside chat with my friend Ruby King about misinformation, disinformation, and AI. So go check that out as well. Let's see. What else do we do this week? We talked about generative AI prompts as recipes, the gold standard of marketing attribution, turning a lavalier mic into a handheld mic, fun stuff like that. Let's see. Open positions, account exec for AI at DDN, AI governance and data governance at Horizontal Talent, artificial intelligence at Supra, BIM specialist at Suprema USA, business development manager at Life Science People, digital twin specialist at ATG, director of data science and analytics at Carrington Mortgage Holdings, generative AI engineer at ThemeSoft, instructional designer at Clarity Consultants, product manager search technology at Ad.net, sales director at Edison Smart, senior machine learning engineer at Altea Healthcare, and senior product manager at Unified Vision. So lots of stuff coming up there. Upcoming events. As I mentioned, I just finished up my worldwide cross-country Macon tour. Now coming up next is Lab Products Association in Philadelphia, followed by Inbound. So if you're going to be at Inbound this week, I'll see you there. Followed by Marketing Profs B2B Forum, Social Media Marketing World, and Content Jam. So the train is continuing to roll. There also are private events. If you would like me at your private event, your next sales kickoff, your next marketing kickoff, your company meeting, your end of year, beginning of year, whatever, now is the time to book, because boy, is it busy. And we want to get you on the calendar sooner rather than later. That's going to do it for this week's issue. Thank you so much for tuning in. I saw you at Macon this week, it was nice to meet you. If I have not caught up with you yet, I look forward to doing it. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to know when new videos are available, hit the bell button to be notified as soon as new content is live.